I was about 10 years old when my family and I left West Palm Beach, Florida, and moved to a suburban area near Denver, Colorado. We had been planning this move for a while, and finally, it happened when living in Florida became so expensive that it felt unbearable. My parents liked Colorado because most of our relatives lived there, and they found a really good school for me, modern, highly rated, and known for academic excellence. I won't name it, but it was new and well equipped. Our new house was only 5 miles from the school, so I could easily walk, even in the snow-covered winter mornings. Compared to my old school, this one felt far better. Students were friendlier, teachers were supportive, and making new friends wasn't hard. One teacher, whom I'll call Mr. Smith, taught math. I didn't like math, and honestly, who does? But his way of teaching made it fun. He never minded helping any student, even if they asked the same question 10 times. He quickly became my favorite. But I wish I had known that everything was about to change. That one day would leave a permanent scar in my life. It started like any ordinary snowy Friday. It was the last day before spring break. I was in my second to last class, English, when suddenly the principal's voice echoed from the speaker system. "Attention, code red. All students return to their classrooms immediately." That single announcement froze the entire school in fear. None of us had ever experienced a real lockdown before. Everyone quietly moved to the corner of the class. Some students began crying in panic. Our English teacher told us to stay silent, but the silence itself was haunting. You could hear every heartbeat. That's when I heard something strange, heavy footsteps echoing in the hallway. The sound was getting closer. I was near the back door, so I could hear them clearly. Curiosity got the best of me, and I peeked through the small glass window. There he was, a man dressed in all black with a hoodie, walking down the hall. I couldn't see his face, but his presence was terrifying. Suddenly, he turned his head, he saw me. My heart stopped. He marched straight to the door and began pounding on it. Our whole class screamed. Some kids cried louder. He tried breaking the door with full force. For a moment, it seemed he might break in. But thank God, the door was bulletproof and too strong. His shouting and banging continued, echoing through the cold hall, until suddenly he stopped. His footsteps slowly faded. A few minutes later, the principal's voice came back. "All clear. All students are safe in their classrooms." But the nightmare wasn't over. Later, we learned that the man had entered a nearby gas station and shot someone. At our school, he shot 4 people, 2 students and 2 teachers. One of them was Mr. Smith. I remember he was rushed to the hospital, and I kept hoping he'd be okay. But 2 days later, he died due to excessive blood loss. I still don't know if that man was ever caught. But one thing that will never change is the memory of Mr. Smith. His cheerful attitude and kind heart will always stay with us. The school didn't just lose a teacher, we lost someone who felt like family. This happened when I was a freshman in high school, still the most terrifying moment of my life. It was about a month into the new school year, on a snowy Friday morning. I was in my second period math class, taking a test. I was pretty good at math back then, so I finished early. With about 30 minutes left in class, I asked my teacher if I could go to my locker. She agreed, and I walked out. Knowing the rest of the period would be dull, I took my time walking through the silent, snow-dimmed hallways. My locker was on the other end of the school. I put my books away and took out a pack of gum. Then I headed back. Our school had 2 floors, and I remembered my best friend had a class upstairs, so I went up to wave at him. But when I reached his classroom, the door was shut, and the lights were off. I assumed they were in a lab. As I walked further, I noticed all the classroom doors were shut, lights off. That's when it hit me, this must be a lockdown drill. Lockdown drills usually happened within the first month of school. I knew I shouldn't be in the hallway, so I turned back toward my math class. As I reached the stairs, I heard footsteps. Fearing I'd get in trouble, I ducked underneath the staircase. There was a small nook, hidden from the hall. I saw a teacher walking briskly. His face looked worried. I figured he was searching for students, but something about his expression felt off. He ran upstairs. Now I wasn't so sure this was a drill. I kept moving. When I passed the sophomore lockers, right near the math hallway, I saw a man standing there. He had his back to me, staring into a locker. He was about 100 feet away. I didn't recognize him. He wasn't a teacher or staff. He had long, messy hair, worn-out jeans, and a black hoodie. I froze. Had he heard me? Suddenly, he slammed the locker door with his hand and started turning. I quickly ducked behind a row of lockers. I could hear him walking toward me. I crouched, holding my breath. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely think. His footsteps grew louder. He was opening lockers now, just 2 rows away. I knew I couldn't stay hidden long. I waited for the right moment. But then, silence. No footsteps. No sound. Then suddenly, his steps returned, closer this time. I couldn't take it anymore. I bolted. I sprinted down the hallway, turned left toward the front doors. Behind me, I could hear heavy footsteps. He was chasing me. I ran with all my strength. As I reached the cafeteria stairs, I saw flashing lights outside, a police car. An officer rushed in, grabbed me, and another chased the man. The man tried to escape but was caught a few blocks away. That day, I had to answer a lot of questions. But all students were sent home early. Later, we learned the man was high on drugs and had broken in to steal from lockers. My teachers weren't angry, they were just glad I was safe. This happened about 5 years ago when I was in 8th grade, attending a middle school tucked in a snowy part of town. It was a regular winter day. Everything seemed normal during the 5th period. I needed to use the bathroom, so I asked my teacher for permission. She nodded, and I walked out. The hallways were quiet and dim under the cold blue light reflecting from the windows. I didn't think much of it. I entered the bathroom and locked myself in a stall. Not even 30 seconds had passed when I heard the main door creak open. At first, I thought it was another student. But then I noticed something strange, the footsteps. They were heavy, like boots, and slow, like someone trying not to be heard. Nobody at our school wore boots. This person wasn't using a stall. They were just standing near the door. Every tiny movement sent chills through me. Curious, I bent down to peek under the stall. What I saw froze me solid. A fully grown man was standing there. His attention was focused directly on my stall. He saw me looking. Without hesitation, he walked straight to my stall and started knocking, loudly and violently. Each knock felt like it would shatter the door. I backed into the corner of the stall, terrified, trying to remember my friends' faces. He kept banging, as if trying to break in and drag me out. Then, suddenly, silence. I thought he'd left. I peeked under the stall, nothing. The bathroom was filled with an eerie silence, heavier than the snow falling outside. Then I heard the main door open and close. Still, I didn't move. I was unlocking my phone to call my friend when the intercom came on. A woman's voice, shaky and panicked, announced, We are in a high-level lockdown. There is an unauthorized adult on campus. That confirmed it. The man in the bathroom was the reason for the lockdown. I immediately stood on the toilet seat like we were taught in drills. Every second felt like hours. Every creak made me think he'd come back. 10 minutes later, the intercom announced the lockdown was over. But I'll never forget that face, that sound, that terror. Sometimes I wonder, what if I hadn't locked the door? What if I hadn't hidden? That was one of the most terrifying moments of my life.